My name is Jennifer. I relocated from Nigeria to the UK with the help of my husband. This is my story. I come from a family of 6, including my parents. I have 2 sisters and a brother. I come from a very low-income family. I was lucky enough to have a father who was adamant to sponsor me, despite not having all the money in the world. As a result of his determination, I earned a degree in banking and finance from the University of Edo. After graduation, I couldn't secure a job. I ended up as a teacher in a private secondary school to sustain myself and support my family. I was paid 20,000 naira, which was less than $10. One day, I went to a friend's party, and our cousin Paul came from the UK. She introduced me to Paul, and we connected. We talked throughout the day at that party. We finished each other's sentence. Paul told me about his escapades in the UK. He said how most women in the developed countries gave in to sex even on the first date. He talked about how these women had too much power and were independent, not needing a man for anything. He said he wanted a decent woman for a wife and a woman who valued family and was submissive. At first, I found it funny and would laugh at his description of a modern woman. I cherished family and I believed in the family traditions of a man being the head of the home. However, I believed in humanity and not feminism nor misogyny. Not a man using the family head as an excuse to mistreat his wife and children. I believed in the principle, do unto others as you would have them do to you. During dating, I noticed all the red flags about Paul. He was controlling and talked about retiring early from work. I was confused. How do you retire early when you have barely started working? I can remember vividly the first day we went out on a date. My mom asked me to run a few errands for her. So I sent him a text message saying that I was running 1 hour late. He ignored my text and showed up at my house. At the initial time we planned to go out, I had to rush out of the house because he kept putting pressure on me to hurry up. With my minimum makeup, I dashed out of the house. Immediately I stepped into the car, Paul rained insults on me, telling me that Nigerians lacked basic etiquette. He asked me why I couldn't say no to my mother's errand and do it another day. I tried explaining to him the urgency of the errands and he shut me up. When he saw how upset I was, he apologized and said he didn't know what got into him and that he was not like that. He said the poor mannerisms of the people here made him angry. He apologized severally and bought me nice designer clothes. He even bought clothes for my entire family. I forgave him and we continued our relationship. Everyone told me how lucky I was to secure my ticket to Japa, like Nigerians would say, out of the country. Whenever he called me, he would tell me to give the phone to someone close by to prove that I was where I said I was. I found this jealousy and protectiveness cute at first, but it became embarrassing over time. I couldn't complain because Paul turned my life around. I could afford the basic things of life with the money that he gave me. I endured him and we got married. He processed my papers and I was given a dependent family visa. I joined him in the UK, and Paul advised me, more like forced me, to study nursing. According to him, there were always job opportunities for nurses in the UK. I never knew his intentions, so I naively took his advice and enrolled in a nursing program. I studied hard and graduated with a bachelor's degree in nursing. During my program, I was put in the family way and had 3 children. After graduation, I was hired as a nurse in a federal hospital. I forgot to mention, while I was studying, my husband worked as a quality assurance engineer in a national laboratory. He earned a PhD in mechanical engineering. I earned good money as a nurse and was able to also do remote jobs to earn more. In a month, I earned up to £8,000. 2 months after I started working, my husband stopped working, complaining about how stressful the work was. Paul gradually left all the expenses for me. Anytime I complained, he would refer to how he paid for my citizenship and brought me over to the UK. In his voice, "Why do you think I went through that stress? You are my retirement plan." I couldn't believe my ears. I was juggling job stress, childcare, and household chores. Paul would even refuse to babysit or help me at home. I had to pay for daycare and preschool to help me focus at work. My days started very early, getting up to get the kids ready for school, preparing the meals, and cleaning on the weekends, while Paul would play computer games, only pick the kids from school, and slept all day. I was frustrated with Paul. We started arguing every day and fighting verbally. I stopped depositing money in our joint account when I noticed that Paul was spending my money on designer clothes. My husband no longer had access to my money, and he went about slandering my name on social media and to family members. He talked about how it was risky to bring Nigerian women to a developed country because they would change and not contribute to the running of the house. "What are you talking about, Paul?" I said to myself. "I run the entire home." Anyways, I never responded to Paul online. His post on social media went viral, and everyone vilified me, calling me an ingrate with a poverty-stricken mindset. They even advised him to divorce me. My friends in Nigeria and the community that I built in the UK called me. Some wanted me to reply Paul on social media. They told me to reply and provide receipts to prove him wrong, but I maintained my silence. I was not one to bring my family business to the public. Plus, I wanted a safe space for my children. I tried to make it work with Paul because I never liked the idea of a broken home for my children. I begged Paul to change his ways and be more supportive at home. I also pleaded that he get his job back, and his response to me was that I owe him and this is my way of paying back. Out of frustration, I told him that for 3 years now, I had been the only one running the home. Wasn't that enough to pay my supposed debt? I was mortified when he said, I owe him forever. When I realized that Paul was never going to change, I channeled all my energy and focused on my career. I started a master's degree in nursing. I made friends, I lived my life to the fullest and ignored Paul. My children and I went for vacations abroad. During one of those vacations, I even tried including Paul, but he never showed up. When we were returning from Barcelona, we came home. I was livid to see Paul with his mistress on our matrimonial bed. I suspected that Paul was cheating, but I never bothered about it. But this last act was the final straw that broke the camel's back. I moved out of the apartment with my children to a temporary place until I was able to buy a big house. Paul could not sustain the rent, so he moved in with his mistress. I met with a lawyer, and she advised me that since Paul had no job, that the divorce might favor him. He might win the custody of the children and half of my investments. I am torn right now. I do not want to live without my children, nor do I want to give Paul my investments. Call me selfish, but I am mad at him for not putting efforts to make our family work. At this moment, I am separated from my husband, but entangled with him.